Welcome, bent riders around the world. My name is Gary Solomon, and you're watching the Laidback Bike Report. And that was our opening sequence, which we're going to skip today. Just go ahead and put it back on me. Denny, you're fine.
Yeah.
No problem. All right, folks, there we go. I'm coming to you live from the Laidback Bike Studios in Pickerington, Ohio, where we produce this monthly webcast that can be watched live right now. As you can see what happens when we do it live, or you can view it later when we can fix things on YouTube. Perhaps you're wondering, how can you support the Laidback Bike Report? Well, if you look in the lower right-hand corner, you'll see a little red subscribe button. That's our YouTube subscribe button. If you click that, that will add you to our list of subscribers. We are trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, getting closer each time that we come on the air. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you look in the upper right-hand corner, you will see a little letter I, which is an information icon. And if you click that, you will see a couple of things. You will see how you can chip in $1 or $2 to support this webcast. And it also has a link to our website where you can learn a lot more about the Laidback Bike Report. You will be able to see all of our previous videos. You can support us by buying one of our Laidback Bike Report hats and some extra material that I've added, bonus material, all kinds of stuff at the website. So when you have a chance, head over there, use the little I, or just go right to laidbackbikereport.com. We would love for all of you to be a part of this webcast as we do it live by joining our YouTube live chat. We have a box open with all of our panelists looking at it, and they will be able to respond to your comments and your questions. So I hope you'll take advantage and be a part of the broadcast. Use our YouTube live chat. The format of this webcast, this is a very full webcast, as it usually is, but this is more panelists than we've ever had on. We're going to break this webcast down into 5 sections. We're going to have a panel discussion on adaptive trikes today. We're going to have an open question and answer period, which we'll hopefully get some questions through that live chat, and we'll be able to take those to the appropriate panelist. We're going to have Bryan Ball's report from the Laidback News Desk. As many of you have read, Bryan is our new Laidback News Director. We're very excited to have him on his debut performance on today's show. So Bryan's going to be here for that. Denny is going to give us the Laidback Sports Desk and give us the report on all the sports happenings from the last month. And the Google Plus Recumbent Bike Rider community business will be talked about. We'll do the contests of the month that we always do and talk about what's coming up with the Laidback Bike Report in the future. And at this point, well, let me just say for a second, folks, we don't have Lars with us today that does our usual directing, so I'm going to be handling those duties as well, unless Denny will be able to pick it up. But let's see if I can have Carl on the screen. Can we do that? And if not, I will do it. There we go. Thank you, Denny. It's great. So I'm going to introduce our panelists right now. As I introduce you, make sure you unmute yourself. Beaming like the sunshine in Southern California, as he usually is, he helps to produce this webcast, handles our media. Welcome to the broadcast, Carl Kidd. Hey, Carl.
Hey, Gary. Welcome. We're getting hunkered down here for our hurricane that's coming, but it's going to miss us. But hey, we're good to go. And a shout out to the South Florida recumbent riders who are watching today. And also, you always got to get Wanda, my 91-year-old mom. I know she's watching. So hi, Mom.
Hello, Wanda. It's good to have you, Carl. Thank you. As I said, Lars had a family emergency and is not going to be able to be with us today. So we wish Lars and his family the best, and hopefully we'll have him on next month. Denny, if you want to put it on yourself there, we have coming to us direct from Sayre, Pennsylvania, technical problems hopefully in hand at this point.
Oh yeah,
the highly touted highly touted, laid-back sports desk anchor, Denny Voorhees. Hey, Denny.
Highly taunted, yeah. Highly taunted and highly
Taunted.
taunted. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? I like that better, and I think it's a little bit closer to the truth. The highly
All
taunted
right.
Denny Voorhees. Welcome, Denny.
We're here as long as we can be. Okay.
We'll see how that all goes. All right.
Okay.
And next, we're going to go to the most recognized face in the recumbent community from Cold Spring, Kentucky, and the esteemed co-editor of Bent Rider, Larry Varney. Welcome, Larry.
Hi, Gary and everybody. I'm glad to be here. It's a nice sunny day. This thing wasn't on, I'd be out riding, but soon I will be. So it's good to be here.
Well, thank you for taking the time to not ride and stay with us on that. All right. And then lastly, I mentioned his name a little before, joining us for his premiere at the Laidback News Report desk from Rochester, New York. We have the founder and editor of the online recumbent forum, Bent Rider. Today we welcome him, as I said, as the new anchor of the Laidback News Desk, Bryan Ball. Hey, Bryan.
Hey, how's it going, Gary?
Really good. Really glad to have you with us.
I'm glad to be here.
Can't wait to hear your report.
Oh, it'll be mesmerizing.
I'm sure it will be. Hopefully, won't put anyone to sleep. If it does,
except Larry.
Yeah, we probably ought not to get into that. Let's move along. Thanks, Bryan. All right. So today we're going to talk about. We're going to have a panel discussion. Denny, if you could put it back on me. There we go. I want to talk a little bit about what we're going to have as our major subject today. Hopping on our bikes to run some errands, explore our neighborhoods, or ride a trail is something most of us do routinely and without a second thought. But there are many folks around the world who can only dream of such things. Our show today is dedicated to the amazing community of people who build, modify, and those who have lost their mobility due to some illness or some accident. We have assembled a large panel to discuss these issues, so I hope you'll stay with us for a show that we've titled Recovering Mobility with Adaptive Trikes. So with that, I want to introduce our guest panelists this month. As I mentioned earlier, we are loaded with experts in all these different fields. And our first guest is Dror Paley. Dror is a world-renowned orthopedic surgeon, director of the Paley Institute in West Palm Beach, Florida. He is recognized around the world for his expertise in limb reconstruction and lengthening. Perhaps most importantly, Dror rides a Bachetta CA 2.0 and also rides a recumbent tandem. I wanted to welcome Dr. Dror Paley to the show. Hello, Dror. Dror, you got to unmute yourself, bud.
Hi there.
There we go. Yes, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
All right. Our next panelist is an old friend of the show who was on one of our first shows early last year. He is the marketing director of TerraTrike, a company that has worked with customers and dealers for many years to adapt their trikes for people with special needs. Chonk, as he is known, is joining us live from Cube in Chicago, as you see, with that great entrance. It's Jeff Yonker. Hello, Jeff.
Hi, how are you guys?
You know, that is the best introduction that I have ever had on this show. That is awesome. Just don't ride.
And I'm doing it from a trike too.
Yeah, I can tell. Don't ride outside the Wi-Fi distance there. But
okay.
I can't wait to talk to you while you're still riding. So, folks, that is Jeff Yonker. Okay, let's move along to more to the west. We're going to hear from Gary Dagistine. Denny, can you get Gary on there for me? And let's see if you have a little. There we go. Gary Dagistine is from Northwest Recumbent Cycles. He's a dealer from Idaho who specializes in creating just the right trike for his special customers. So I wanted to welcome you, Gary. Thanks for coming to the show.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Very good. All right. Next, if you can hit Dana there. Hit him hard, actually. Dana is the owner of Bent Up Cycles in North Hollywood, California. He's also very familiar with modifying trikes to suit his customers' need. Ladies and gentlemen, Dana Lieberman. Hello, Dana.
Hey, everybody. How you doing? Glad to be here.
Very nice to have you. And last but certainly not least, we have Letitia Collins, who comes to us from Palm Springs, California. Letitia is a adaptive cyclist. She leads a group of paracyclists known as the Cycle Crew on a bi-weekly ride through the Coachella Valley. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But we're really happy to have Letitia with us today. Hi, Letitia.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Very nice to have you. All right, folks. Denny, if you could bring it back to me, thank you. All right, so let's get started with some of the questions we have for our panel, and I'd like to start with Dr. Paley. Dror, if you unmute yourself, I'm going to ask you to give us, if you can, an idea of some of the medical issues that could cause the significant mobility impairments that might cause someone to need some sort of recumbent adaptive trike.
Well, I mean, I got into it myself because of that reason. I developed problems with my neck. I mean, it's referred to as cervical spondylosis, and that's where you get a pinched nerve in your neck and you get neck pain. And in particular, it's aggravated by hyperextending the neck. So, I've been an upright, what I think a lot of people refer to as diamond frame bike rider for years. And if you look at the posture of any upright bike rider, no matter what bike they ride, the neck has to hyperextend in order to allow you to see forward. And so that hyperextension pinches your discs, your nerves, and causes pain. And a lot of people, in their 40s, 50s, and 60s start to develop this type of problem. And that eliminates their ability to ride a bike for any period of time. So I used to ride for hours, do century rides, and soon I found I couldn't even tolerate a half-hour ride. Similar thing, so many people I know develop lower back problems. And again, they can't ride an upright bike. And so a bike which cradles their back, supports the lower back, allows them to, in fact, flex the lower back, is comfortable, and all of a sudden they're able to ride their bike. So probably the two biggest reasons I've seen people switch to recumbent riding from upright riding has been, back and neck issues. Now, I mean, that's not to mention the whole litany of issues with upright riding, from saddle problems to carpal tunnel problems as you lean forward, the wide variety of complaints that every upright bike rider gives you, back, neck, etc. So these are the common things that I think bring people to who want to continue cycling to pursue either a recumbent bike or a trike in going from an upright to one of those. Now, obviously, many other conditions, more significant disabilities, also push people to recumbent riding. So at the one extreme, you've got everyone that is, you've got severe disabilities such as paraplegia, which force you to be in a trike where you're actually using your upper body to cycle. So you're using the pedals with your arms as opposed to with your legs. So that's at one extreme. I mean, the most famous group are the Achilles bike riders, the ones who compete at many of the events that we see. And it's really impressive to see these individuals, many of whom have been, paraplegic for many, many years, all of a sudden gain mobility and in fact, the ability to compete. You even see them in the Olympics competing with these type of modified trikes. And then, you can work backwards from there. Most levels of disability as long as you have the ability to a lesser or greater extent, use your upper or lower limbs while your body is being supported and cradled, can operate a recumbent bike or trike.
Dror, let me ask, that's a great overall answer to the question. I was wondering about the folks who don't take advantage of the exercise type benefits that you get, those that are severely impaired, for instance, and don't take advantage of getting on a trike and riding, who end up being non-ambulatory. What sorts of problems can ensue from not taking the reins and getting on a trike or a recumbent bike, depending on what's going on, and doing the routine exercise? What happens to these people if they don't do something like this?
Look, we all know that being sedentary being sedentary doesn't exercise your heart, doesn't exercise your muscles. You lose muscle mass. You lose cardiac ability, which ultimately reduces cardiac output and affects longevity. So and it ages you. So the loss of muscle mass is a natural part of aging. If you can maintain that muscle mass through resistance training, through cardio training, and so on, it's one of the few reversible aspects of aging. And the more you exercise your heart, which is just one big muscle, or your skeletal muscle on your limbs, the better off you are. And cycling is an interesting exercise in that not only does it give you the ability to do aerobic exercise, that means exercise that works your heart, raises your heart rate, and so on, but because there's resistance involved and you can alter that resistance, it's a type of resistance training. And resistance training is the only kind of training that will maintain your skeletal muscle mass. People think that if you just do cardio, that's enough. You don't maintain muscle mass that you lose naturally with aging by cardio exercises. You maintain it by resistance training. And cycling is a superb way of doing resistance training. You work in a harder gear, you're doing resistance training in your lower limbs. Now, obviously your upper limbs are not doing resistance training, so cycling alone, using your lower body, I'm not talking about the ones who are doing it with their upper bodies, but cycling alone with the lower body will not build or maintain muscle mass of the upper body. So you need to supplement that with other exercises, resistance training of the upper body.
Okay, that's super. Dror, I think we're going to move on to some of the other panelists at this point. Thank you for giving us that overall view, though, from the medical standpoint of what we're going to be talking about today. And yeah, stick around if you can. We may have some more questions for you. Thank you, though. Let's move along here. If we can go to Letitia. So we talked about what some of the problems might be that would get people to start riding trikes. Here, let me put myself on here if I can. Hold on, folks. Sorry. There we go. So with the kinds of problems that Dr. Paley talked about, people get on the trikes, and some people need adaptations on those trikes to be able to ride. And now I want to talk to Letitia Collins and ask her a few questions about what it's like to have to ride a trike and what it means to her. So, Letitia, first, can you tell us the story of how you came to adaptive cycling?
Certainly. 6 years ago, September, I was diagnosed with transverse myelitis. and it's an autoimmune problem where the nerve passageway was damaged along my spine. And so within a matter of 24 hours, I went from being an able-bodied walking around person to being paraplegic, losing all control from my waistline down, unable to walk. I went to therapy, and I was at the UCLA neurological rehab unit for several months before coming home, and went through tons and tons of therapy, and was going through some depression, which is another thing that you have to you end up dealing with because of such a drastic change in your life and your lifestyle, and from being a very active person to sitting at home all day long watching daytime television. It was horrible. So I was going to physical therapy at Desert Hospital here in Palm Springs, and it was introduced to cycling, and it just impacted and changed my life completely, just as dramatically as the diagnosis did.
Okay. So I want to know, since you started triking, how has this regular triking changed your life? How has it made a difference?
Well, first and foremost, it gets me out. I was home. People who have injuries that, such as mine, end up being homebound. Their social life changes. You're pretty much stuck at home. So what cycling did for me, it got me out of the house. It got me being social again, meeting and speaking with other people. The exercise alone, the therapy that I received inside a facility at the doctor's office does not compare at all to being out and about, getting fresh air, being mobile. It just changes your psyche, and it encourages you to encourage others, and becoming a part of the community again. It's real important. Okay.
Now, I mentioned in your introduction that you were involved with a bi-weekly cycling group, and I'm guessing that some of those people are riding adaptive trikes as well. How did that come about? Did you start the group, and what was your thinking behind it?
Actually, the Cycle Crew, we are a group of paracyclists here in the Coachella Valley, and we are part of an organization called Desert Ability Center, and we are a nonprofit, and our goal is to maximize the lives of people who have disabilities here. And we get together twice a month, actually, and we encourage and we go out and try to recruit people who have had injuries, whether it's spinal cord injuries such as mine, or there's another gentleman who organizes these rides with me, Jerry Alcorn. He was a construction manager and had a brutal injury where a piece of equipment fell on his spine, and so he's back mobile again. And so we're trying to give back to the community, so to speak, and make people aware, raise awareness that cycling is something that you can do to become mobile again. You don't have to be alone. You don't have to sit at home and feel depressed. But we get out and be active. And so we started this group, and it's growing, and it's ever growing. Oh, that's funny.
You know I was going to use that, did you?
No, I didn't.
I love that shot of you.
Yeah, I ride a Cat Trike 559, and so we get out, and we actually are very fortunate because we have the backing of United Parcel Service, UPS, and those guys get out and they get on the road with us, and they are much needed because we are on such low profile bikes. We need the extra added visibility. And so,
yeah,
it's working. Yeah.
let me just finish by asking you about someone who has suffered an injury or has an illness, who has been robbed of some of their mobility in some way, and has either not been introduced to trikes or perhaps just starting to think about it. I was wondering what you would do to give them the information they needed, and how would you encourage them to get started in adaptive triking?
Absolutely, 100%. First and foremost, what I would say is that before I encourage them too far, they need to speak to their physician and make sure that this is a program that's suitable for them. We don't ever want to cause more injury than, we don't want to cause any injury whatsoever. So it's imperative that they get a clearance from their physician that they're able to ride. But I would definitely encourage it. It helps me specifically, as Dr. Paley was saying, with the buildup of my muscles in my legs. The resistance is something that you don't often get when you're at the gym and just doing the stationary bike. For me, it doesn't challenge me as much. Getting out on my trike really challenges me. It builds up my stamina, my cardio. It just does what you can't get on the inside at a gym facility. And so I would definitely encourage it. And along with being social, there's that element that is not really addressed in the medical community. I'm fortunate. I have a neurologist and a rheumatologist, and every time I go in there, they're telling me, well, so how's your social life? Are you getting out? Are you getting out and about, or what are you doing? And I'm proud to say that yes, I am. I'm being social, and I'm getting the word out, and I just want to get other people out there riding along with me, because they themselves will see the benefit immediately.
Letitia, that's wonderful. I want to commend you for what you do for your community there, and how you've come back from your own particular injury or problem. So, and for spending the time with us to talk a little bit about it. I know it's very personal, so we really appreciate you coming on and sharing that with us. I'm going to move along, but I hope you'll stick around here as long as you like, and we may get some questions for you.
Sure.
And speaking of questions, it looks like that our chat box is blowing up, and I see Dana and Bryan are on there and answering. And guys, if either of you or any of you guys monitoring the chat box, if you see any questions that have a more general interest, feel free to interrupt me and ask them. I see, Denny, you've already answered one there. I think I'm going to ask you about that in a minute. You can tell everybody about it. But for you folks out there who have not got on the chat yet, please avail yourself of that. The links are there on Bent Rider, in the post on Bent Rider, and on Facebook, and on our website. You can find that link or the actual chat box to ask your questions or make your comments. So please feel free to do that. All right, with that,
Gary,
yes.
one thing I noticed that Bob Brown has put something. He recently lost his wife of many years, and the social and the ability to get out and be on the bike has been a tremendous asset to him. So it really, as we've been talking, there's not only the physical but the mental, and if it's easy to do or it's comfortable to do, you will do it more, and it'll just make you a better person.
No doubt. And it's always good to hear from you, Bob. We're glad you're out there and watching. As always, has been a big supporter of the show. All right, let's go on and talk to a couple of guys who actually own recumbent bike shops and do a lot of the kind of work that is involved in putting an adaptive trike together. So I think that we will start with Dana. Let me present him. There we go. There's Dana.
Nope, there we are.
Yep, we got you. Sometimes a little delay on the thing there. Let me just, if I could, for 1 second. Let's see. Okay, Carl, you're good to go over there, I guess. So I'm going to help out with that too. All right, Dana. First of all, how did you get into doing modifications for people that needed adaptive trikes?
Well, I think the first customer that I worked with came into the shop about 12 years ago. And he, for those of you who don't know, I'm the owner of Bent Up Cycles. I've had that shop for 13 years. And wow, there's a picture of me where you dug up lots of pictures, didn't you?
You didn't give me any. I had to come up with something. There you go.
I remember those shirts. So he came in, he had been in a bike accident and had lost the use of his left arm completely. He could still pedal, still had his right arm. And so we proceeded to set up a cat trike for him using a roll-off hub and a variety of different, putting parts together to really allow him to cycle and ride. A few months later, I saw him out on a metric century. It was such a rewarding feeling knowing that I could help him get back out there and enjoy the bike that we've just kind of kept doing it since then. We work a lot with the local VA down in Long Beach, or not so local Long Beach VA. We've worked with Casa Colina out in Pomona. We've just had a lot of people coming into the doors asking how we can help them adapt a trike to make it work for them, and we've been more than happy to help.
That sounds good. Let me go to Gary and basically ask the same question. Gary, unmute yourself if you would. So there you go. And how did you get into to making adaptive trikes?
Totally by accident. My wife's got MS, and when we used to love to go bike riding. Well, she couldn't ride anymore, so when her balance started getting bad, I made the big mistake and got her a granny style three-wheeler. And we've been together now 43 years, but back then she knew I was trying to kill her on that thing. She kept tipping it over, so we started doing some checking and found out about recumbents. Well, there weren't any dealers up here in the Northwest or anywhere really that would have anything that would suit her. So I got a hold of a manufacturer, and he turned around and said, "We don't have any dealers. You want to become a dealer?" And I went, "Sure." So it all started out from day one. We've been doing adaptive stuff, starting with her.
You want to mention that? You want to mention that manufacturer?
It'd be Sidewinder, Jim and Linda Nunes.
Okay. So that's how you got started. Great. All right.
Hey, Gary.
Yeah.
Solomon. Gary Solomon.
Yes.
I don't know if you have a series of questions that you want us to go through, but one of the things that I see coming up a lot on the chat board is the notion of the emotional impact of cycling. And I have to tell you, people my age, as I'm looking across the bottom and seeing all the people here, we're all of that age that when we grew up riding our bikes, that we weren't sheltered, that if we wanted to get around from point A to point B, we all had to jump on our bike and go do it. And so for a lot of us, that first feeling of freedom, that first bit of independence that we got was on a bicycle. And so when I'm working with somebody who has some sort of special need and can't get on our bicycle, it's really, we take that personally because we understand as we get older, we can still kind of go back to that feeling of feeling independent, and to be able to put them on a bike. I mean, the smiles that we see, Gary and Dagistine, I'm sure can relate to this with all the customers that come into his shop, but the excitement and the smiles that we see on people's faces who never thought they would ride a bike again, it just totally makes it all worthwhile. It really makes it a wonderful part of the work that we do.
That's a perfect statement, Dana.
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, first of all, guys, this is not a formal show. So yeah, if you have something that seems pertinent at the time, unmute yourself, jump right in there and ask me. That's perfectly fine. I appreciate that was a great way to talk about what it means for all of us and what it could mean to someone who doesn't have the opportunity to ride anymore. So I appreciate that, Dana. All right, let's,
Gary, if I could
yes,
just interject there, I just wanted to expand on what he just said.
All right, hang on. Let me show you here. Hang on a second. Right. Go.
Last year, I participated in the Patriot Ride, an annual ride here in the Coachella Valley, and a cycle was donated to one of the veterans. And at that dedication, the first thing that he said was, he raised his hands and he said, "Freedom, I got freedom to," and I was just so emotional because that was exactly what I felt myself that picture that you showed of me with my feet strapped to the pedals of that first bike I was on, it was freedom and independence, to get out and to get out of the confines of a wheelchair. I mean, that picture right there was at the end of the day. The first picture at the beginning, you should have seen the look of fear on my face. I'm like, these people are tying my feet to the pedals. Am I going to fall off this thing? It's going to be a tragic accident. This is going to be bad. But at the end of the day, it was exhilarating. And that feeling of independence, just, it can't be compared.
All right. Yeah, you know, I think we all of us who don't have any sort of impairment and just get on the bike or trike and ride, just take for granted every day what we can just go do. And until you lose some semblance of that freedom that you're talking about, Letitia, you don't know what it must mean to have that brought back to you by being able to get on a trike and just go on your own and go someplace. Again, something that we need to think about for those of us that don't have that impairment. And any of us could end up with something like that at any time. So it's something we need to think about, I think. All right. Thank you for interrupting me with that. That's exactly what I'm looking for here, guys. Don't worry about it. Let's go back to Gary. Here we go. And let's see. Gary, I want to ask about, let's get a little bit more technical here as far as the trikes go. Tell me what types of changes you have to make when someone comes in and needs a trike to be adapted. What
Just
sorts
so
of
many
things do you have
different
to do?
changes.
Talk to me about some of the things that you've done.
Well, some of the simple stuff, I mean, thanks to TerraTrike coming out with, you know, these adaptive pedals. These things are super and they're affordable, which is nice. Usually you put medical to anything and, you know, the price triples or doubles. You got crank shorteners. These work great. I mean, I tore my quad tendon off my kneecap and I was supposed to be in a brace 4 to 6 months. Well, I put these on the pedals on my own Velomobile and I was able to ride that thing while I was still in the brace, and I got out of the brace and totally released from the dock in 2 months and 3 weeks. You know, there's so many things, and TerraTrike's been a big innovator in coming up with some of this stuff. But, you know, sometimes it's just as simple as taking a pool noodle, you know, just the round tubes, cutting them in two and having to position them on a seat somewhere. And then other times I got one gal that has, she wound up with a staph infection, but she lost both ears, her nose, both lips. Her right hand is just a club. She has an operating thumb and index finger on her left hand. Her other fingers are just stubs and lost both legs below the knee. And she's out there riding a TerraTrike. She just got her second one. But you want to see satisfaction in somebody's face.
That's how you do it, I'm sure. Thanks for bringing the props, by the way. That was great. I should have set you up better had I known you were bringing things. I was a little disappointed that you didn't have a noodle with you, but yes. Who is that?
Cool.
It's Dana. I've got
Dana,
a bunch of props.
Let me get you on here, Dana. Go ahead.
I've got
you
a
have
bunch
a
of
noodle
props here
show
too.
us, or?
I don't have a noodle.
Yeah.
I'm glad Gary brought those pedals. I had a set here too. Right? That was one of my props. You know, when we talk, thanks, Chonk. When we talk about setting people up for riding and they have special needs and such, I guess there's really 3 different areas that we're looking at. We're looking at their legs, their arms, and then usually some sort of entrance and exit strategy. The most common types of changes that we make to the trikes have to do with the legs, attaching the pedals. So you saw the pedal system that Gary showed. This is another one by HP Velotechnik that's very similar. The nice thing about this one is that, well, I've got the tension set really high, but this is mounted just on a regular SPD pedal. It doesn't have quite the heel support that TerraTrike system does, but it does strap nicely and people can use that. The nice thing about these is that these are sold individually. So if somebody just has paralysis on one side of their body, they can buy just one and then use their regular pedal for their other foot. Another thing, again, more stuff from HP Velotechnic. This is another pedal that's similar to the one that TerraTrike does. It's just a little more adjustable. And as Gary Dagistine pointed out, the nice thing about the TerraTrike pedal is this is very affordable. I mean, this pedal right here is $85, where you can get the TerraTrike pedal for a set for, I think, $145. The nice thing about this pedal, though, is that this is adjustable, so you can this slides in and out, allows you to adjust for different size feet. It's also very easy to get out. There's no straps on the top, so you can really just slide your foot out. And then the final one, we see a lot of this with customers that say have cerebral palsy, where they they can't keep their knee in line with their ankle. So by having the calf support here, they don't have their legs. Oops, sorry, I'm popping out of my microphone here. I was going to try and do a visual there, but I can't get far enough back. But their legs want to flop back and forth, so this really helps stabilize them. So these, the pedal, whatchamacallit, the crank shorteners that Gary spoke about are very important. We use pedal extenders to get people's feet a little further out from the crank arms. We'll set people up on different lengths of cranks. I'm sure Dror can talk about this, that very discrepant leg lengths can really affect the pedaling of a customer. And so being able to put, say, a 175 on one side and a 145 on the other really gives them a nice, comfortable pedaling position. And so that's it with the legs. TerraTrike also makes the Versa bars. This is another similar system by HP Velotechnic that allows you to get up and out of the trike easily. Most of the manufacturers, except CatTrike, make some sort of system like this that is adaptable to their trikes. Power on Cycling down in Tennessee also makes an exit bar that's a little more generalized. In fact, they make one for CatTrike, and those really help the people get in and out of the trike easily. So,
all right, boy,
I can keep going, but
yeah, no, that's absolutely awesome. Both Gary and Dana, thank you for bringing those visuals to us.
Yeah.
And you can talk about that stuff. Well, if you don't show it, then it's a whole different story. So, all right. So we've seen some of the add-ons to the trikes. Some are fairly expensive. Some of them are pretty reasonable that you guys were talking about. But I think we'll probably agree that the trikes themselves are not inexpensive. And so unless you are a person of some means, not everyone is, if you have some sort of impairment and you want to get a trike, you may have a problem. So I wanted to ask Gary and Dana, where can you get some help? Dana, you mentioned earlier, and I was going to ask you about the VA, and I know there are some charities. Letitia actually talked a little bit about some help in some places, and maybe insurance. So Gary, let me go back to you if I can. Let me get you here. And can you tell me a little bit about your... Oh, okay. Do you want?
Hey, there's some Versa bars.
Look, this is not a contest, guys. It's fine. I don't, So the guy that ends up with the one more, restraint or whatever is not going to win the contest. It's great that I really appreciate saying that. But Gary, if you could tell me a little bit about your experience with third-party payers, VA, insurance, charities, that sort of thing.
VA up here has been super. You couldn't ask for a better situation with them. I've had them actually. I've had a vet come out here, try it, several different models of trike, and then list them first, second, third, what he wants, and then have the VA turn around and ask me for a bid that same day, and I got approval all in one day. That's only happened once, but it's usually within 30 days, everything from start to finish. Wounded Warriors has a couple of things that they go through. It's strictly for Marines, though. And then there's another outfit that I just found out about not long ago. It's called Independence Fund, and it's for military, but it's independencefund.org. And you go in and fill out a form, and they may pay for all of it. They may only pay for part of it, but to get insurance companies to pay for these things, like pulling teeth. And then Idaho's got a couple of programs for severely disabled people.
Okay. All right, let's go to Dana. And Dana, tell me what how your experience goes.
So I've been working with the VA for about 2 years now. We supply them with between 1 and 2 dozen trikes a year for a variety of vets with different needs. With that said, each individual VA seems to be a different organization. We've tried working with the VAs that are actually closer to us. Long Beach is about an hour away. We've tried going to West LA. We've tried going to Northridge, and they don't want to have anything to do with us. So it seems to come down to you need to have a VA that has some sort of cycling program in place. And then if you can get the local bike shop to sign up as a vendor, basically you have to go through the SAM process. It's rather lengthy. It's online. It's not that complicated. It just takes some time. You can get set up pretty quickly. Every year you have to review and go through your documents and review things, but it really isn't all that difficult if you have a VA that wants to work with cyclists. If you
and
don't,
that's the point. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but Dana, we talked about that when we were setting you up, and you warned me about the VA and how uneven the VA's help can be. Could you talk about that for just a second?
Well, I mean, you look on Bryan's site, Bent Rider Online, all the time there's threads of vets that live in, all over the country that are just pulling teeth to try and get their VA to fund a trike. And ultimately, they can't get them to do it because they're just not interested in having a cycling program. The one in Long Beach that I work with, it's through their OT and PT department. The head of the program is a cyclist. They have a very active group of cyclists at the VA. They have events all the time. And so when they got in touch with us, it was actually very easy for us. And I feel bad for people around the country that don't have that kind of service and that kind of access. And I wish I had an answer for how to fix that problem.
Right.
It sounds like Gary Dagistine is having a similar good luck in that their VA is more than happy to work with them. So.
Right. Okay. Super. That's some good information for folks.
Just in general, what they typically do is a lot of the vets will live locally, so they'll come up to my shop and they'll try a bunch of trikes out. And when they have figured out what works best for them, we'll work with them to figure out what modifications need to be made. We then submit that to the VA. The VA, again, I've been working with them long enough now. They know I'm not going to try and sell them everything. We're really working with them on what the vet needs. And then they just turn around, like Gary said, we usually within 30, 40 days have an authorization in hand, and we can get everything built up and ready to go.
And does this kind of cover the wounded vets story for both of you guys? You kind of mentioned that. So you work with a lot of wounded vets. Does this come up a lot?
I would say most of the vets that I work who are not wounded in combat, once you have services through the VA, you have a stroke or you have something happens, you're still covered by the VA. And most of the vets that I'm working with, I've got vets from Vietnam, from the Iraq War, and the things that they need, the reasons they need a trike now don't necessarily have anything to do with their service while they are in combat or in service.
Okay. And Gary, any stories that you have about wounded vets?
Yeah, in fact, I've got more with medical issues other than wounded issues. I've even got some World War II vets and Korea vets. I've got one community just about 15 miles west of us in Washington. It's a senior or 55 and older community, but we've got 7 trikes in there, and it's all World War II vets, and they get together every day and go riding. But it's funny to hear their stories. So once a year, I'll turn around and I'll take and tell them, okay, everybody, let's meet at the clubhouse. I go over there, we get set up, and we just tune them all, make sure everything's running right. And, if something happens, I'll go over there and take care of them, because it's hard for those guys to transport them back and forth.
Absolutely. That makes sense. All right. I want to get into some specific stories you guys may have. I've got a couple pictures here that we have for Gary, but Dana, let me ask you, can you give me, if you can think of it, one of the most rewarding experiences particularly that you've had working with adaptive trikes?
Oh, geez. Put me on the spot here. The most rewarding one, obviously the gentleman who was sort of my first customer doing this for definitely stands out in my mind. And then seeing him on the road months later completing a 60-mile ride was quite rewarding. Most recently, we had a woman who lives up in Ventura who wanted to get on a trike, and she had a variety of issues going. So we set her up with the right, she came in, she picked out a trike. Then again, we started putting different length cranks on there and different kinds of pedals to hold her feet in. And again, here's a woman who is in her 70s, who is now riding around her community, really, again, enjoying cycling again. She used to be an active cyclist, had lost her balance, and now she's back out doing it again. So look, those stories are common here. Again, I don't know what Gary's experience are, but it's one of the reasons that I enjoy doing what I do, because we're regularly getting people into cycling again.
That is great. Let me just kind of jump in here with a couple of comments from our live chat. We have people watching that for whom this is touching very close to home, obviously. So first of all, from Zachary Mormon, we're talking about payment. He obviously has an adapted trike. He said, mine was paid for by a group of friends who started a benefit on my behalf and got all but $1,800 to pay for mine. So just an example, I guess, of sometimes you can't count on organizations to help, whatever. You just got to do what you got to do. And it's wonderful to think about a situation where your friends chime in, or chip in, I should say, and help you out. So that is great. Bob Brown says, I wish some high-level VA administrators would be listening to this. So I'm sure they all are, Bob. This is probably something they don't miss. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I see, Dana, you mentioned about forwarding links on to some of the people that you work with. So we'll see what happens with that. But all right, let's, if we can go back. Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Letitia.
The first gentleman that made the comment with regard to his friends getting together and contributing to his cycle, that you just got to commend those people for helping him out that way. And we've got to look out for one another in those types of instances. We here locally right now are doing a fundraiser to try and purchase 2 hand cycles for 2 of the children in our community. One little boy, Asher, he is 4 years old. He was born with spina bifida, and he's very active. He beats all the odds, and he's one incredible kid, and we're trying to get a hand cycle for him. Another little girl, Mackenzie, she participates in WMX wheelchair. She does wheelchair tennis, wheelchair basketball. She does judo, and we're trying to get her in a cycle. She was born with amniotic band syndrome, and she only has several digits on her hands. She's an amputee below the knee, and so getting these kids out on the bike, they depend on us to help them out. So it's important that we, continue to pay it forward and give back. And so thumbs up to that guy whose friends helped him out.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for adding it. And, for those that watch the show routinely, you know that I put the links to everything that we mentioned that has a link in the description of the YouTube video that comes up after the show is over. And Letitia, if you will forward me maybe a link to that fundraiser that you have going, if you can, I will be happy to post that for you. All right, let's go back to Gary now. And Gary, we've got some pictures. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I interject a comment?
Please.
I've been listening with interest. And the last comment about amputees in particular, there's a lot of exciting new technology coming down the pipe with regards to amputees. And there are so many, from accidents, from disease, and obviously from our military. But there's some really exciting stuff that's going to be happening in the next 5 years where just like you do dental implants, and instead of wearing sockets, which really limits the abilities of amputees to use certain types of bikes because their sockets go so high and it's just so uncomfortable to have the socket rubbing against your groin, especially for above knee amputees. What we're going to be seeing in the next 5 years, and we're probably going to be one of the first centers in America to do this, is what's called osseointegrated prostheses. And that's kind of like a dental implant, but for legs and arms, where you literally put a metal peg into the remaining residual limb, and then the prosthetic is attached to those pegs. And so now you have a direct connection of the skeleton to the prosthesis. And that's going to change everything. And you're going to see a lot more trike and bike users because of these new prosthetics.
Awesome. So that will allow them to attach what remaining limbs they have directly to the mechanism that's driving the trike. So that would be and much less in a much less painful way. It sounds like. Is that it, Dror?
Well, there's no rubbing, no socket. Can you imagine prosthetics that have no socket, and literally just like you take a prosthetic tooth and attach it to a peg that's grown into your bone in your jaw, you now put a prosthetic leg bolted to the metal peg that comes out of your, amputated thigh or below knee or arm and so on. And this means that you have no loss of efficiency of force transfer, and you have no, stuff rubbing on skin, because skin's not involved anymore. So you don't have a socket rubbing on your skin, which limits a lot of amputees from using cycles, because in bicycling, tricycling, whatever, you have a lot of repetitive motion, which then creates a lot of friction and inflammation and so on for prosthetic users with sockets. So this is all going to happen in the next few years.
All right. That is good information. That's exciting. We'll be looking for that. That's great. Thank you, Dror. All right, let's, if we can, Gary, I want to ask you about some of the stories that you can tell us from some of the things you've been involved with over the years. And let me present some of the stuff here. Gary, if you can see the pictures that I'm showing, can you tell, I'm going to show the pictures.
Yeah.
If you can tell us the stories behind these. First one, this look at mom. Tell us what this is about.
She is so tiny. She only weighs about 25 to 30 pounds. She's just a dinky little thing. And she's got spina bifida. And she'd run, but she'd run on her elbows. So I custom built this trike from the ground up for her. And I've got another picture in there somewhere. If you can
Carl,
actually
go ahead and
see
switch to the next one if you can, Carl. I think that's the next slide.
You can actually see how tiny she is. And it just worked wonders for her. She just buzzes all over the place on that thing. And I had a lot of community help too, like the upholstery and the seat and the powder coating.
That's really
everything.
cool, Gary.
Everything was all donated.
A lot of people got involved. That's really nice that it was a community thing, but that's very cool. All right, let's go to the next slide if we can, Carl. Tell me about this young lady.
Oh boy. A lot of you know I'm a retired deputy sheriff, and I was writing a report one night out in the county, and I hear a crash, and I thought it was trains coupling. Well, a few seconds later the call comes in, and I get there, and I didn't know it at the time, but Brianna was the driver of the car, and she had her entire C-spine was just pulverized. She hit a tree 70 miles an hour minimum speed is 70 miles an hour right on the driver's door. And so I sat 45 minutes in the car holding her C-spine. And when medics got there, they said, we'll take over. And I said, no, you just cut this, I use some other words, car off of us. And she was in a coma for 3 months. They didn't think she was going to make it. This one's tough. But 3 days after the accident, a buddy of mine, the state senator, called me and said, thanks for saving his granddaughter. And it was Brianna. And the shift sergeant that night happened to be dating her mother. So, this was a whole tight-knit deal. Anyway, the kid that was with her, dating her in high school, stayed with her. They got married. But she's doing fine now.
Can you tell us a little? Yeah, tell us about. Let me show this picture again. Can you tell us a little bit about what you did here for her? This is amazing. Tell me.
It's a Sidewinder, and we put all the controls on one side and powered it. But you have the other picture of that, and I'll tell you what happened. All right. When we were setting her up, I turned around and told her, I said, okay, Brianna, I said, in 30 days, I want you getting out of your wheelchair and into the trike on your own. And she goes, okay. And I said, 60 days, I want you getting out of the wheelchair and walking to the trike and getting in both ways on your own. Well, the bottom picture, I said, my third request is, and she goes, what? And I said, don't drive this trike like you did your car.
Is that what you stuck her tongue out at you? Yeah.
Yeah.
I see that. That's great. Okay, Carl, the next one, please. What's
this little gal? Her mom and dad, she's got CP, and her mom and dad are teachers in one of the elementary schools. And dad's the gym teacher. And this took a lot of work getting her going because her legs flop every which direction. We couldn't use the rods off the pedals like Dana showed. So I used rollerblade boots, and they worked just super. We bolted them to a pedal. And she goes to school with mom and dad every day, but she'll spend all day long riding circles in the gym. And it's just worked wonders for her.
That's great. How about the next one, Carl?
Oh, Jeff. Mm-hmm. Jeff's legally blind. The blind commission up here bought him this trike, and it's powered. We should have never powered it for Jeff. This is like putting an Indy car in a parking lot. This kid's crazy on it, but he does well.
That's super. And the next one?
Oh, that's just my wife and I during a Hayden parade. Those are 2 TerraTrikes I put bodies on.
Very nice. Were you racing there, or just parading?
You notice my wife's in the lead. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm letting her win.
That tells me you're a smart guy.
Yeah.
All right. Let me go back. So, Gary, thank you so much for sharing those very touching stories, by the way, and for everything that you do. And Dana, I am gonna say thank you to you too for
my pleasure.
sharing what you did and for helping out here on the chat and everything. Really appreciate that. Please, both of you, stick around because we got a lot more to go here yet. But I want to move along to our mobile unit in Chicago. So here we go. Let's see. We are back, ladies and gentlemen, yes, it's Chonk, Jeff Yonker from TerraTrike on his trike at the Cube show in Chicago. The Chicagoland Unconventional Bicycle Expo, I believe is what that stands for. And Jeff, can you, you're so mobile here, could you give us a quick tour of what's going on there at Cube today?
Let me switch cameras here to a forward camera. You know?
Yeah, we see it.
Hello?
Yeah, we got you, Jeff. Go ahead.
Okay, all right. So yeah, so we've got there's Mark, Cat Trike. Hi, Mark. A couple of dealers here. This is FNA. There's Cozy's. This is a new company here called Carriage House. Hey guys. And they have this really cool new trike stand out. And show them, yeah, they've got this new armband mirror. Show that real quick. This is really cool.
Hold it nice and steady and show us. There you go.
Rear view mirror. It mounts on a like an armband. Really neat. Then we got the guys from ICE here. There's Chris.
There's Chris. Tell Chris we're saying hi. Tell him Gary said
Chris,
hi.
wave to everybody. And our great dealer from Niles is Amlings. They're here representing Cat Trike, TerraTrike, HP, ICE, Bacetta, and I think what else? Even a cruise bike they've got.
Okay.
The TerraTrike booth.
Hey, somebody's supposed to be in there.
Yeah, I know. They took it off. Really neat e-bikes by a company called Ariel Rider. Neat colors too, and show you their. Got a great little rack here for their trikes, their bikes.
Nice.
So yeah, it's been going good. We had some pretty torrential rains yesterday, and I think that affected some of the turnout. But today's been much better. We've got riding outside now, so.
Hey,
yeah,
Jeff.
it's been good.
Jeff, how long has this show been going on? How long have they been doing this show?
This is the second year, and the whole philosophy behind it is to become more of a spezi-like show.
Yeah.
So it's not just recumbents; it's pretty much any type of bicycle-related or any kind of other type of cycle type show.
Nice.
One of the things they've talked about that they're going to do is they're going to make it a spring show, and whether they do it, I think it's probably going to be spring 2018. But that'll be nice from from a manufacturer's point of view. That's better for us. I think a spring show would be much better for consumers too. So.
Mm-hmm. And who's sponsoring it? Who's putting it on?
This is put on by Julie from Amlings, actually.
Oh,
but,
sure. I know Julie. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I'm going to cycle out here and see if I can find her because I need to get her on camera too.
All right. Yeah. Julie was on the show actually talking about Cube last month. And so, yeah, if you find her to say hi, that would be great. And it's also kind of interesting to think that they're moving to spring because then there'll be some separation between Recumbent Cycle-Con and that show instead of just being a week apart. So is that Julie? Are you there? Hey, Julie, welcome. Boy, two months in a row, Julie. Good job. All right, Jeff, let's thank you thanks for giving us the tour. Let me get you back on. If I can I ask you a few questions pertaining to TerraTrike and adaptive triking? You might want to get back in where the wireless is a little better so you can hear me. Which is about the worst place right now, I guess, is where you are. All right, let's let me while Jeff is getting it's getting better. Let me ask, I want to ask Dr. Paley a quick question here. And Jeff, see if you can get yourself to a little bit better wireless. Dror, I saw a post and actually shared it online earlier this week from something called the Cybathlon 2016. It's an athletic endeavor for impaired athletes, not like Special Olympics, but those that are augmented by technology, I think is the idea. It's in the first one's going to, I don't know if it's always there or the first one's going to be in Switzerland. There's the American team is called Team Cleveland. I think that's the only one coming from this part of the world. And these are paraplegics who have implanted in them electronic stimulator types of things, and then are strapped to trikes, and then are made to I guess they practice and go from that and race. It's a pretty amazing thing. It's being done up in Cleveland, obviously, at I think it's Case Western Reserve is kind of leading the way, and the VA up in Cleveland. I've got some links that I'll share again with that. I don't know if I didn't mean to blindside you with this, Dror, but have you heard of this sort of technology being applied?
No, but what I have heard more about is, because I'm getting very involved in this, what I mentioned before, this osseointegration, there's a real concern now of how to bring all of this into competitive athletics.
Yeah.
Because, the bionic human is coming. And we saw with Oscar Pistorius in the London Olympics. Here's a guy who was born with a congenital condition that led him to have amputations of both feet. And just with regular prosthetics, with the cheetah foot and all that, he was able to run in a regular Olympics, compete against, normal able-bodied individuals. Now, even if you took these new things that I was telling you before, osteointegrated prosthetics, the efficiency given by that would theoretically make that runner faster than a normal human.
That's right. And at some point you have to decide how much of this is a human competition and how much of this is a technology competition, right?
Well, I mean, there's, you know, I think we got to get over the fact, it's just like you don't usually have events that compete men and women in the same, same comp, because they have different abilities, and yet some women could very well compete much better than many men. But at the top level, you can compete them. I think in the future, we're going to have it, just like we have the Paralympics, we're going to have this, whatever you called it, I can't even repeat that name. We're going to have that.
It's the Cybathlon.
Yeah. I'm going to call it the Bionic Olympics. We're enhanced humans. And I think we're all fascinated by that. You know, right. How far can you take the mixture of technology and human ability and then compete? Because it's not just the bionics, it's the human. And you could put those bionics on many people and it wouldn't enhance them. You put it on people who are particularly coordinated or gifted or strong or fast, and now they can take them to incredible levels. So that's going to be, a whole new region to see competition amongst humans and
Absolutely.
Human endeavor.
Absolutely. All right. Well, speaking of,
while I've got,
go ahead.
Yeah. So I was trying to find it on my computer to see if I could upload it, but we're using, I have a lot of kids because I deal with kids that are born with all kinds of birth defects. So they've got, very short arms, very short legs, very limited mobility stuff. And it's amazing. We've talked about bikes and trikes. What do you call something with four wheels? It's not a
quad.
A what?
Quad.
Not a quite. Anyway, so anyway, a quadricycle, I guess. And we've got a lot of these kids on these quadricycles. They're more stable than the tricycles. They absolutely cannot fall over with these things. And they are able to get, because they're on quads, they can be taller, they can be higher. You can move the center of gravity up with less risk of them tipping over. And they're tremendous mobility devices for these kids.
All right, that sounds great. Thanks for giving us that update too. I think that we have kind of lost Jeff. Can you hear me at all?
Oh yeah, I'm still here.
Because you're kind of, I see nothing but a blank screen though. Anybody else see Jeff, or is it just me?
Can you hear me?
I see his picture.
You just, yeah, he's frozen up. We can hear you, Jeff.
Huh.
Let me ask you a quick. Let me just ask you a couple quick questions here. Sure. Even though we can't see you, and we'll go from there. About TerraTrike. Can you tell me what TerraTrike's approach to delivering adaptive trikes to their customers is? What's the approach?
Sure. Well, from very early on, we realized that trikes had an advantage over a lot of the other medical type appliances out there. I think one of the biggest things is the price. Like Gary kind of hinted at, you coin something as being a medical device, and immediately it gives you the ability to jack the price up 4 times what it should be. And so by coming out with trikes that are affordable, it's really kind of opened the door for a lot of people that couldn't afford something. So, and then we realized that the adaptive market is bigger than we thought, and we've come out with, I think, close to 12 to 15 different accessories now geared strictly to adaptive needs.
Okay, yeah, and we've seen some of those.
Yeah.
So do you work direct as well as through dealers? How does that process go?
Yes, we still sell direct. Mostly we only do it because we still have quite a few areas in the U.S. where we don't have dealers for 6 or 7 hour drives. So we always try and steer people to a dealer, and then we try and handle customers that don't have access to a dealer without driving a long ways. We'll sell direct to them.
Okay.
But that part of our business. Used to be about 25% of our business. It's now under 10%. It keeps, the more dealers we get, the less we need to do that. So.
And how about the overall adaptive triking business? I was going to ask you about. Is that a growing segment of your sales?
It still is. I think, again, the more awareness that recumbent trikes get out there and people realize this is an option, I think it's selling trikes for everybody right now.
Okay. And what do you do promotion-wise? You're the man to ask. What do you do promotion-wise to widen people's knowledge of what TerraTrike does in this regard?
Well, we don't actually try and market to adaptive needs that much. I mean, obviously we do, we'll do shows that are geared towards that, but we really try and just market the lifestyle. We think that the more you can show people having fun and getting out and riding, the more that sells trikes versus actual kind of direct marketing.
Okay. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for hanging around all this time. I was looking in the film strip, and your picture was doing great for most of the time until I actually needed you, to talk with you one-on-one, and then we kind of lost you. So I've just to let you know, I've decided just to put my face on the screen as you talked, with some knowing nods, like, I know what you're talking about, and because I couldn't put you on. I'm sorry that we lost you at the end, but I sure appreciate you hanging with us, giving us the information, giving us that tour, which was that part worked great. So I'm glad you were able to do that. So thanks for being with us, and again, stick around if you like, as we roll towards the end of the show here. And with that, good. I see Bryan is back. Let me go ahead and present you to get started with, Bryan, and I think we're gonna see if we can have you give us that first news report from the Laidback News Desk. Bryan Ball, ladies and gentlemen. And Bryan Ball needs to unmute himself, or there will be no news report.
Done. There we go. I'm a rookie. I'm sorry.
You're fine. Go.
I had to put my nerd glasses on because I can't read without them anymore. So where do we start off here? I think the big news in the last week or so, we've had 3 new world records were set up Battle Mountain late last month, which is all of them pretty impressive. The big one was Canadian rider Todd Reichert, who went 89.59 miles per hour in the ETA from the Aerovelo team, which is just amazing. I mean, I was there less than a decade ago, and we were shocked when it cracked 80, and now it's already pushing 90. Pretty likely that's going to wind up getting broken next year. Also, hope I'm pronouncing this right, Florian Kowalik of Team GB set the junior world record at 65.93 miles an hour. I couldn't find his age, but I thought I heard someone say he was 16. So that's pretty impressive. Also, for our trikers out there, Gareth Hanks of Team Tri-Sled raised the men's multi-track record to 73.95 miles per hour. And the women's hand power record was increased to 24.85 miles an hour by Sanda Piercy of the University of Plymouth team. So all very cool. And if you've never had a chance to go out to Battle Mountain, it's a great event just to go see. Just the sound those things make when they go by is just amazing. And so I think the next big thing coming up this weekend is Recumbent Cycle-Con, as Gary mentioned. We'll all be there, Gary, myself, and Larry. And I'm just going to go through a few things of what's going to be going on. Saturday and Sunday next weekend are the consumer days, if you're interested in coming out. I assume the link will be down here to find all the information about where it is and how to get there and all that.
Yeah, sure will.
First up, this is in no particular order. HP Velotechnik is going to have their new revised Scorpion. That's the first time that's going to be seen in the U.S. Difference from the previous Scorpion, this one's a little lower and lighter and sportier than the previous one. Now that they've got more trike models out, they've been able to focus this one to make it kind of the sportier of the Scorpion line, which is pretty cool. Still retains the rear suspension, 26-inch rear only. There's not going to be a 20-inch one anymore. Another very highly anticipated trike, we're going to have the Catrike Dumont. This is going to be one of the first times you can ride it in the U.S. I think they're doing demos at Cube that was mentioned earlier, but that'll be available to ride. Also very highly anticipated, full aluminum, full suspension, their first full suspension trike. It's been delayed a couple of times, but TerraTrike's very particular about getting things right. So we're all very eager to finally get our hands on that, especially my wife, who has ordered one. And Schlitter Bikes, it's not exactly a new company, but Schlitter doesn't do a whole lot of shows. So it'll be cool to have the Schlitter bikes out there for everyone to get their hands on and ride. Great carbon fiber full suspension bike. It's one of its big claims to fame. It's a little cheaper than some of the other ones, but still just as light. That's actually my bike in the photo. So I've got a lot of our long-term test bike. So I've got a lot of experience in those. Great bikes. Definitely go check those out if you're interested in the Go Fast segment. Greenspeed's going to be there with production versions of these that were actually shown as prototypes at last year's RCC, but these are the full-on production versions. This is the Greenspeed GT20, which is kind of replacing the GT123 line that they had. It's a folding 20-inch. You can see it uses the same kind of box mainframe as the Anura does. I rode it last year, and I'm assuming that the production one will be even better. I was very impressed with the one last year. I assume this will be even better. And another trike everybody's talking about, the Arrow. This is going to be in the full production form. This has also been going through prototypes for a couple of years. They sold a handful of the prototypes, so a handful of people have them, but those are steel. This is, I think, going to be the full-on aluminum, production bike that's going to be out. And they're also teasing a few mystery trikes that I don't know what they are, and they refuse to tell me. But there's supposed to be at least another 2 or 3 other complete mystery things. And some stuff I also found. I don't know much about these companies, but I'm kind of eager to see them. There are 2 different companies. They're going to have what they call a direct drive, front-wheel drive. As you can see from the picture up there, there's no chain. There's just a hub in the front wheel. That was an idea that was floated around in some of the European companies like years ago, and it never really happened. And now all of a sudden, boom, there's 2 of them on the stand. So,
hey, Bryan,
yeah,
that first one, isn't that a pinion drive that's been modified to work right out of the wheel? I
believe so. Yeah. So, yeah, from the pictures. Again, I just found it on the site, and I emailed them and didn't get a hold of them. I know they're out of the Netherlands. Cool thing about that one is it's going to also come with a trike kit in the back to turn it into a Delta, and they've got a nicely integrated little aluminum box. So very eager to ride that. It's a very interesting idea. I've never ridden a direct drive front-wheel drive, but I'm eager to try and hopefully not embarrass myself. This one is called the Cervelo out of the Netherlands. Somewhere looks like in about the $3,000 range from the conversions from their site. Since they're exhibiting in the US, I assume that they are very willing to import. And the second one, if we can get the next picture there, this is the Velotegra. Again, I just know from their website, didn't hear anything back from them, but they have US and Canadian and Great Britain patents, and there's a French option on the site, so I'm going to assume they're out of Canada. There's no address or anything on the site, but that's called the Velotegra. And they also are marketing just the drive system in addition to the bike, so be cool to check those out. And one last note, if you are a longtime Rands fan and have not seen Randy Schlitter lately, he sold the company a year or so ago to a very nice other group of people, Gerald and his wife. Randy's going to be there at the booth on Saturday and Sunday. So if you want to catch up with Randy and you haven't seen him, and like me, you want to bother him about airplanes for an hour, he'll be there. So swing by the booth and say hi to Randy and check out all of Rand's new stuff. There are a million other exhibitors there. These are just some of the highlights. And I can't wait to go out. It's always a good time. And we'll be at the booth, at the Bent Rider booth, selling some merch. My wife will be there. Everybody always asks where my wife is, so you can see her there. And also, I'll be around and helping out with the Laidback Bike Report, and I'll be around their booth a little bit too. Oh, and Larry will be there if you care about that.
Larry cares about that, and so do I. And excited to be there and working with you guys. We're going to talk at the very end of the show here a little bit more about what we have in mind for the Recumbent Cycle-Con show. As Bryan says, we're going to try to work together on some stuff and see if we can bring you the best possible coverage, both video and online and written coverage that's possible. So, but Bryan, great job, my friend. That was terrific. Lots
my
of good
rookie performance.
You excelled as I knew that you would do. So, all right. Unfortunately, Denny's technical problems continue. He's been trying to come on. Denny, you're not able to do this, are you?
No, no, I'm not.
Let me,
Denny,
not with any assurance that it's going to work. So,
exactly.
I'm going to present the pictures. Here we go. And I'm going to read, Denny, of course, has produced the report, and I'm going to go ahead and read it for him. So thanks, Denny. I'm sorry that you can't read this, but here we go. So we're going to start the report this month by doing a quick wrap of the Mid-Atlantic 100, 12, and 24-hour, 100-mile and 12 and 24-hour race report. The 100-mile race was dominated by recumbent bikes. Jesse Groves and Larry Oslin were first and second, respectively, followed by Sandor Kormos in the fourth and Jim Parker in the sixth place. All four racers were sub 4 hours for 102 miles. Good job, guys. Maria Parker placed first in the women's 100-miler, no big surprise there, with a 4-hour, 36-minute effort, almost an hour ahead of the second-place finisher. Another great effort by Maria. We don't have, I guess, the Denny, I don't think we had the information on the 12 and 24-hour results, so we're going to move along here to the Silver State 508. I love the name of this ride. Silver State 508. There it is. Four-man team of who? Dana Lieberman, Andre Gertz. Dana, is this right? Gertz?
No, Andre Gelmert.
Wow. Okay.
Close.
Jim, yeah, not even. Jim Ryan and Gary Barrel.
Yeah.
Viral rode the 510-mile mountainous course in 35 hours and 57 minutes. You can just correct me if I screw any of this up, Dana. The two-person team of Sandy Earle and Bill Spaeth completed 480 miles, but withdrew due to physical issues. Sandy and Bill are registered for the 2017 Ram as a two-person mixed recumbent team. Conditions were mostly cold, windy, and had periods of rain. The out and back course features 6 major climbs and 20,000 feet of gain. Who says recumbents can't climb? I know Dana doesn't say that.
I'll just tell you.
Yeah, go ahead, Dana, if you want to give us a quick.
I'm going to give Chris Kosman a plug here. It's an absolutely fantastic course. It is not as hard as the old Furnace Creek 508. However, the weather does get colder at night. You know, we were riding with it down. This year was actually a little warmer. It was down in the 40s, but last year it was down in the 30s. So that presents its own difficulties. But it's a fantastic course. There's a lot more services available out on the course, a lot more cell service. And I'm just really, really enjoying this. They switched over to this course about 3 years ago. And I'd recommend if anybody's out there thinking of doing an ultra distance event like this, this is a great first one to do. You can do it solo. You can do two-person. I currently hold the recumbent two-person record and the four-person record. Please go out and beat those records. We left them really, really soft just so you could come out and beat them. So
that is very nice of you, Dana, and both the report and leaving the record soft.
Such a gentleman.
He is, isn't he? Hey, congrats to you anyway. So let's. Thanks. All right, we got to move along, guys. Sorry, I wish we could talk about this more. We're running along as usual here. So let me, if we can, Carl, could you move on to the next? We talked about Battle Mountain. Let's slide on to the next one if we could. Yes. So the Texas Time Trials. A couple of new records at this year's Texas Time Trials. Rich Pudich of Las Vegas, Nevada, set a new 6-hour mark of 110.5 miles, besting Jim Parker's 2011 record by almost 5 miles. Steve Olson from Lumberton, North Carolina, set a new recumbent one-lap sprint record, doing the 26.5 miles in 1 hour, 11 minutes, 22 seconds. I guess, does that make sense? No, that has to be. Yeah, I guess that's right. Good work, guys. Not for me, but good work to the guys who actually rode that. I would like to make mention that Scott Radliff of Chicago will be racing the inaugural Route 66 bike race that started in Chicago yesterday. And as an aside, I actually did see Scott had posted today on Facebook that he called it quits after 200 miles instead of wanting to go a little bit further because of the horrible weather in the Chicago area yesterday, but he's continuing on. The race is strictly self-supported randoneering style and finishes in LA after covering over 2,500 miles. As indicated by the name of the race, it follows Adventure Cycling's Route 66 tour route. Scott is quite possibly the only recumbent in this new race. He will be carrying a spot tracker and can be followed on trackleaders.com. These races are a real adventure. We wish Scott a safe race. A quick update, at noon today, Ed Scott had covered just a bit over 250 miles. Let's see, Carl, you have the next slide there. There we go. So here's an update on part-time recumbent rider Amanda Coker's female highest annual mileage record, that hammer record that Kurt Zervogel got last year. Amanda does ride that Schlitter Encore some of the time on this ride, so it's of importance to us. Amanda broke the long-standing record of Billy Dovey Fleming, set in 1938. Amanda did it in just 130 days. On September 21st, she finished the day with a total of 29,774 miles. She's been averaging over 229 miles a day, and about 30% of the time she is riding that Schlitter bike. With the women's record now hers, she's going for the men's record set last year by Kurt. And as many of you will remember and reported here, he hit 76,076 miles. And we did have Kurt live on the show, right, the day before he set that record. For those of you that watched the show, it was an amazing feat. That's a long way to go yet for Amanda, but we are watching her and rooting for her. Her attempt will end May 14th, 2017, when her 1 year is up. She started May 14th of this year. So finally, we here at the Laidback Bike Report try to cover bike races and events all over. If you have competed in a race with a recumbent and you'd like to be mentioned, just message either Denny or myself, and we will be happy to include you on the sports report. Scott Radliff sent us a message. We've had a couple others. So yeah, we're hoping that you guys will start contributing by sending us the information, and we will go looking for it as well. And Denny will, and hopefully Denny will be back to read his report next month. So thanks a lot, Denny, for writing that up. It's a good report. All right, we're going to move along now to the, let me get you the picture here as I do this, to the Google Plus Recumbent Bike Rider community business. We have hit the 974 member mark, so I sure appreciate that. Carl, next slide, if you would. There we go. We have that member locator map, that people popping up from all around the world. We appreciate if you get on the community and update your information. If you haven't put it on there at all, please let us have it, and we'll put you on the map there. So next, we're going to move along to the contest that we run every month for the best posts of the month on the Google Plus Recumbent Bike Rider community. First, we have Demon Dunk, who posted this picture and won the picture of the month. This is a clone of Warren Beauchamp's Barracuda. Warren was on the show last month, as you might recall, and Demon Dunk put this on and posted it to show off what he had done that modeled Warren's bike, and it looks really great. So congratulations, Demon Dunk. We're going to go to the video of the month, and this was by Sam Sue. It was called Jason's Mango, and it's a nice video of him riding at high speed on some bike lanes and then on into the city where, I mean, it looked like doors were going to be opening up in front of him all the way. So nice looking Velomobile. Thank you, Sam, for contributing that video, and congratulations to you. Next, we go on to the discussion of the month by a frequent contributor, Curtis Wenzel, who rides different kinds of trikes, but he was talking about this full fat that he rode today, and we had a little discussion about that particular trike, riding off-road, and a few other things that popped up during that thread. So congratulations to Kurt on winning the discussion of the month. And lastly, as many of you know, a couple months ago, I was just tired of awarding Pilius Pulcher the Picture of the Month award every month because he is amazing. So I gave him his own category. This is the Pulcher Picture of the Month. And he rides all over, I think, Bavarian area of Germany, on the Danube area. And he just has amazing pictures of the backgrounds that are the landscapes that he rides by, and occasionally encounters interesting people. In this case, he met a velomobilist, as he calls him, and talked a little bit about that in this post. So congratulations as always, Pilius. Thank you. Keep those coming. All right. So I guess we'll come back to me here. There we go, folks. All right. We talked a little bit earlier about the Recumbent Cycle-Con coming up starting this Friday for Dealer Day, and then Saturday and Sunday open to the public. We are very excited about having our table there at Recumbent Cycle-Con again this year. With all the people we're going to meet, we have a lot of work to do. It is cut out for us this year. We are going to be having some contests. We're going to be selling our hats. We have a couple of gentlemen that will be showing off their home-built recumbent bikes, streamliners and a tandem. Let me see here. Carl, you got that up? Let me show you. So you might remember a couple of months ago, we had Tom Ollinger on the show. He's a Battle Mountain racer, builder extraordinaire. We saw his shop. It was kind of interesting. So this is his streamliner that he actually raced at Battle Mountain, and he will be bringing that. I don't think we have a picture. He also has a recumbent tandem that he built, and we're going to be having a look at that. And Carl, can you give me Richard's streamliner? Oh, we don't have that? Okay. And we also have, there we go. We also have Richard Myers, who is a legend, especially in Ohio, but he's a national legend. If you haven't heard about Richard, he's an 80-year-old gentleman who has been racing for an incredible long period of time. He also was, could you back that up? There we go. He also was at Battle Mountain one year, built this beautiful GB streamliner. He's refurbished it. Been working hard the last couple of months to put it into good shape again, and he's going to bring that too. So you can come and see these streamliners, the tandem, and talk to these amazing gentlemen who know so much about recumbent racing, recumbent building. They're just the most interesting guys to talk to. I hope you'll come by our booth and chat with them. They love to talk to people about racing, and you know, Tom talks all about his racing programs for nutrition and training and all that kind of stuff. So please come on by and come to CycleCon and see that. So on top of that, of course, we are going to produce another CycleCon Laidback Bike Report video, like we did last year, like we did at Spetsy. Some of our most highly best received and most highly viewed videos that there are. So this year we're going to be interviewing all the manufacturers of recumbent bikes, trikes, and some of the accessories as well, so that we bring you all that information. We're going to be showing you the track outside. They're going to separate it into both bikes and trikes. And we're going to have Bryan and Larry helping us out. I think what we've talked about doing is maybe showing them on some of these bikes and trikes, and maybe giving you some of their initial ideas and views of what they've ridden and seen. And then, of course, you can follow the rest of the story as they write the reviews and ideas on Bent Rider, so you get a more full look at those types of things. So we got a lot on our plate. We're excited to be at CycleCon this year, and we hope that if you're anywhere in the area, you make it to CycleCon in Cincinnati, Ohio, and if not, you'll watch the video and learn what was there. So with that, we're going to kind of wrap things up here. Let's thank our panelists. Let's see who we got here. Let's see, Letitia, thank you so much again for coming and staying with us. I hope you enjoyed the show. We sure loved having you. All right, and I'm just going to go right down the line here. And Larry, it's good to see you. It's good to see you awake and enjoying the show. We will hope for better bandwidth for you, and you'll be able to join us a little bit more higher level. So thanks, Larry, for being with us. We'll see you in a week.
Give it there.
All righty. Let's move along here to Gary. There you go, Gary. Thanks for working with me to get you all set up earlier in the week. I know it was not something that you've done a lot of, but you did great, and we were so happy to have you and having you share all of what you do there. So appreciate that, my friend, and we hope to. You're coming to CycleCon, aren't you?
We're planning on it.
Yeah. So I will see you in about a week too. And thanks for being on the show.
Okay, thank you.
Dror is next. Dror, you can unmute yourself if you want to. Oh, we had a kid just fly right by.
That's my son photobombing here.
Okay, well we need those occasionally. We once had a bird photobomb the show.
Be on there.
So anyways, Dror, I know how busy you are. No kidding. I know you're very, very busy, and it was hard getting you to get set up and everything, but you came through like a champ. You were here. You did what I needed. You answered all the questions. You were a delight to have on. I sure appreciate you being with us. I hope to see you maybe in the winter. I might come on down again. We'll get a visit with you.
That'd be great. I should tell everyone that thanks to you, I got into tandem. That's my wife in the background there, and we tandem recumbent bike. And we got one of those Sevo, Rand's made Sevo recumbents. They're amazing. So if you're not into tandem, it's a great way to spend time with your wife. And you can't go faster than her, you can't go slower, and you can't get away from it. So it's
yeah, just like real life, isn't it? Yeah, it was a pleasure.
We actually get a great time to talk together.
It was a pleasure, and I'm so glad that you guys decided to do that. So, all right, great, Dror. Thanks a lot, bud. We'll see you soon. All right.
Take care.
All right, and Carl. Carl, you just did yeoman's duties. Yeah, but it was pretty much you and me switching around, getting the pictures done. What a great job you did, as always. I know you had a few things to say. I was able to glance at them in the chat. I'm sorry we really couldn't get you involved any more than that, but it was kind of crazy today. But thanks for everything that you do, what you did today. It's always great having you on, Carl. Thanks.
It's a pleasure. And to follow up on Dror, I've ridden with he and his wife, and I can barely keep up with him on the tandem. You should see him going uphill. It's amazing. They really ride wonderful on there. So hopefully when you come down and visit, we can all do a big group ride, and it should be great.
It sounds like fun. Sounds like sounds great.
A little embellishment there, but it's okay. I appreciate it.
All right, and Bryan, don't forget to unmute yourself. And look, here he is, direct from his debut performance at the news desk. I thought he did a fantastic job. I'm sure most of you agree. So, Bryan, thanks for being on. We look forward to the report every month. Can't wait to see you later in the week.
Yeah, see you Thursday setting up probably.
That sounds great. That sounds great. Thanks, Bryan. All right, so let's see here. To polish off here. Let me see, where are we here? Yeah, we wanted to thank Bryan, of course, and Larry again for the promotional support that they always give us for the show. And also, let's talk quickly about the hats. So I'm going to show you a picture here. We're going to be selling these at Cycle-Con. These are the Laidback Bike Report hats. They're $20. If you want to order one, go to our website, laidbackbikereport.com. And you can order one there. It's another $5 for shipping and handling. But if you come to Cycle-Con, you can get it for $20 flat, and we'll be happy to sell those to you there. We also, let me see here. Yeah, there we go. There's the guys wearing them and everything. So, yeah, so buy the hats. That will help us out. That's really our only means of fundraising that we've got. So, all right, let me come back here. And I want to reiterate again what you can do to help us out here. Again, the little white circle in the upright corner of your screen. When you see that, click on it, get to our website, donate a $1 or $2. On the lower left of the screen, you'll see that little subscribe button down there. I hope you'll click on that, subscribe to us. All of our videos will have that clickable table of contents. I know we are running an hour and a half or more these days. So to find what you need when you go to the YouTube channel, you can just go to the table of contents in the description. You will find everything you need to click on. Go just the part you want. If you want to watch it all and see little parts here and there, you can do that. We'll have all the links that we talked about, as I said earlier, so you can click on those and find all the things that we talked about, everything that we mentioned in the show. So that's at laidbackbikereport.com. So let's see, let's get on beyond that. Well, we do want you to, of course, if you get to the website, if you could sign up for subscribe to our mailing list, you'll get all the heads up information about when the shows are on, what we've had in the past, as I said, and it's all at laidbackbikereport.com. And so, until the next webcast, we thank you so much for being with us, and from all of us here at the Laidback Bike Report, so long, everybody.